Today I'm going to go and cut the other pillar off the donor body, and well, Dad, in this one turned out alright. This one here, there's some shapes. That's high there, it's low here, so I've got to kind of, it's actually terrible shapes, so I've got to do a bit of hammer and dolly work. So I'll do that now. I'll show you guys what I'm doing so you understand what this is all about. Wait. Alright, I got highs here. That's high. Right there is high. That's low. Right? That's low. That's a little bit low. So, running your hand over it, you can feel the ripples. That's very high there. It's a little low there, and it's... So what I want to do, it's quite low there too, is I want to chase the metal back into the lows and bring the lows up. So you would think you would hit from underneath, but that's not always the case. Now, I have this, and I have this. You might not have this. It's called a slapping hammer, right? You can make one. You can make one out of an old file. You just heat it and bend it. That's what I've done here. This is a horse hoof rasp. I use this for shrinking the metal. So I slap the metal with that, and then it puts tiny little dents in the metal and it gathers it all together. For the sake of this one, because I want to move the metal, I don't want to lock it in place, I'm going to use this one. So you can just get a bit of flat bar. I don't know what that is. Let me quick measurement. Yeah. Where's my measurer? This is a great one. I really like this one. I didn't have any of this stuff. I was given it by my uncle when he came around to visit one day. He said, I've got all this stuff, you can have it, I don't want it. So, that's my Uncle Bevan. Where are we? 1, 2... It's about 8 mil thick. So if you can get yourself a bit of 8 mil, cut it to a shape similar to that, and bend it. Let me see, is that going to be long enough? Oops. My measuring stuff just out of reach. Okay, so if you wanted to build one, we'll go in inches first. Inches? No. What are they? Centimeters. Sorry for my American viewers, but it's all going to be in centimeters. So, your first bend, 18. Second bend, 5. So, that's 18 centimeters. That's 5. And then the handle is we'll say 17, right? And it tapers back to that point. That is an excellent slapping hammer. That just makes my life so easy. So it's about 8 mil thick. That was 17 long. That was 5 long. And that was, what did I say? And that was 17. Okay? So what's that all up? 17 and 17 is 34, plus 5 is 39. So it's about a 40 centimeter all up, and then you just shape it, but make sure you put the round nose on it, and make sure you keep this as flat as you can. This will be one of the handiest bits of kit you ever make up. And then, you know, this one I just made up. I think I based it loosely on that one. No. The bend I did. Yeah. Excellent for shrinking. So any old rasp or file. I've got another one, and I'm going to bend it the opposite direction. So I've got these really coarse rasps for major kind of shrinking. But this is perfectly fine for what we're doing here. This is more gentle. Right. Now, what happens when you hit metal on metal? So I'm going to put a dolly underneath. If you hit metal on metal, it will stretch the metal. So, right, I'll put that under here. I'm stretching the metal. So I don't want to stretch this metal. Sometimes you do want to stretch the metal, but I don't right now. What I want to do is I want to move the metal down to the hollows. So I put a bit of leather. My dad taught me this trick and it's been brilliant. So I just get my welding glove. I've got old welding gloves I could be doing this with, but that's alright. And I put it where I want it. I'm going to start off with the hammer. The high is here, the low is here, and I'm going to chase it. So if I'm hitting here, I'm putting my dolly right there so that I'm actually chasing it down towards the dolly. Sometimes I do have to put the dolly directly under, which is why I've got the leather there. Alright, so for right now, I'm going to put the dolly in the dent. And remember I said to you a couple of episodes ago, I get it to bounce. I go boom, 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 boom. As I hit it down, right? This is the reason why, because what you want to do is you want to shock it down to where you want it. Now, I can see it move. It's come down a bit. A bit. I remind myself of the pizza guy off Simpsons. You like fries with that?
You want fries with that?
Alright, so I can feel that it's come down into the hollow. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the dolly, this part of the domed part of the dolly, up in that hollow, and I'm going to hit on the high, and I'm pushing up with the dolly, tapping the middle, and I'm gathering it, and there it is. I just move the dolly around to get it where I want it. Now it's still slightly hollow there, so I'm going to put the dolly under, and because I want to get a bigger surface area, I'm going to hit it with that, and then do the same thing. You listen. So I don't just slap it, I dig. Now I've got the dolly directly in the hollow. I'm tapping the edges of the hollow back towards the middle. You'll chase it a little bit. That's alright though. And I'm going to do the same over here. High there, hollow there. I used to think you had to get brutal, but what I was doing was I was hitting things too hard and I was stretching and I was creating more problems. I was just chasing my tail, basically. So you don't have to be flogging it. And it's alright to hit where you've done the metal fill, that's fine. Yeah, you'll get a feel for what things feel like. So I can feel where the hollows are with the, like by sliding the dolly along underneath, it'll go gudu or up or whatever, and I'll know where my hollows and stuff are based on just being in tune with where how that's flowing along the panel. So I know that I'm right on this low here, which is a high obviously on the other side because it's raising up, pushing away from it. So Trev's blog, I always forget to tell you guys about Trev's blog. Pommy Guy, one of the most amazing patch panel makers I've ever seen. His attention to detail is just phenomenal. And I enjoy watching him. I really do. I find the guy, he's a real card. He's real funny to watch. But yeah, Trev's blog. I'll put a link in down the bottom. Go over and check out his stuff where he was making up panels and stuff, and where he was welding stuff in. I learnt so much off him. I've been doing this for 30 years, but I learned an amazing amount off Trev, from Trev's blog. I don't think he does it anymore, because he was doing the blog to do up his van so that he could have a coffee van with his wife. And he had this old, I think it was a comma van, but I could be completely wrong on that. And he was doing that up, and there was a lot of rust in it. And the stuff he did, wow. You know, I just admire the guy's talent. So him and Make It Customs are my favourite too. This is all about patience. I'm not going to bore you guys. I'm just looking now, so I'm 10 minutes into it. So I'm going to shut up and I'm just going to get on with it. And yeah, I'll come back when I'm about to do a fill. Okay, this little beggar does not want to return to his home, right?
Just go home! That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Right, he's still high. I've been beating on it for a while. I've just got to the point now where I've decided, okay, you're not going to play by the rules I want you to play by. Everything else is pretty good, but I have this one spot here that will not disappear. It's going to happen. I'm just going to get this. I'm going to put a little bit of heat. This is a very aggressive way to do a sorry, I'm just looking at a spider walking across the screen there. This is a very aggressive way to do a heat shrink. It would be much better if I had my oxy set up, but I really don't have $300 a bottle or whatever it is for oxy and acetylene. So right now, this is what I'm working with. Just a little, I don't even know what the gas is. It's the yellow one anyway. Gas, propylene, 95%. There you go. Put a little bit of heat here. It will rise up. If it starts to sink, stop immediately. All right, you don't want it sinking. This will rise up, and then what it does is, as it gathers up, it puckers up, and then you hit it with this baby. If you go out and buy a set of cheap panel beating hammers, you'll get one of these. You'll get one of these, and then you get a third one, and I can never remember what that is because I basically just use these. You might have to modify your ends and shape them up. I've had to do that with other sets, not this set. This was pretty good. This was from Repco many years ago. I was looking at them in Super Cheap the other day. They're about $70 for a set, so not expensive. If you can find it, it's worth investing in them. If you can find a bit of 7mm steel, it's worth making that up. Anyway, so I get it to pucker up. I put that dolly underneath with some sort of material because I don't want it to stretch. And then I just give it a little boop, 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 and just tap it down. It'll gather up, and then when it cools, it'll lock it in place and it won't go anywhere, and it'll take all your oil canning out, not that this has any, and it will just get rid of that little excess lump. Because if I do that, there will be, when I start sanding this back, there will be highs. I guarantee there will be highs. But I'll show you how I deal with them as I go along. I'm not going for concourse perfection, and if you watch the TV shows, if you're an avid watcher of the TV shows that do all the car restorations, just remember there's TV quality. So it can look like they've got it absolutely perfect, but There's camera angles. I can make this look amazing with the camera angle. But I don't want to BS you. That's what I love about Graveyard Cars. Yeah, he's an odd fellow. He's a very odd fellow. But he's honest. And, you know, if they stuff something up, they're honest about they stuffed it up. If they didn't get something perfect, they redo it. You know, they're not about using all the camera angles to make their work look perfect. They're about being honest about the job. So, but he can be hard work to watch. I'm not going to lie about that. Anyway, so enough of that. Right here. Let it go on. Get it into it. See it swelling right up, immediately swelling up. Like I say, this is very aggressive. Normally my son would be here and he would do this. Now that's starting to go red. I've got it red. That's as hot as I want it. It will cool down a little bit, but that's okay. And then I just get that out. And then I give it a couple of them. Remember, I'm bouncing it. You can just get a thing of water and chuck it on, that'll bring it down. And then I'll just to get it to where I want it, I'm going to use this. Like I say, this is the file. I am not going to run my hand across that, but I can run the file across it. Discover that that's high there. If you run the file across it, it'll highlight all your highs, right? And then sometimes I just use the pick end of that, the pointy end of that, and I just go along only where the file is picked up that it's high. Okay. That should do it. Like I say, I'm not running my hand across that because I don't want to burn my hand. So I'll wait a couple of minutes and I'll see where that's going. Now you want to blow off your metal fill before you get any body filler happening. And why you want to do that is because you've got these little pits and holes and stuff, and what they can do is they can fill out with the sanding or the dust of the sanding. So blow it off. Okay, so it's nice and clean. I'm going to have to clean back there too because it's gone all surface rust again. So I've got a bit more to do, but then I'll get a fill going. I'll go as far as I can across. I want to get to at least halfway, and then I'll work back the other way and join my two fills up, and then I can sand across as one. Alright, we've got the Evercoat Rage Gold. Amazing, amazing stuff. Gonna do some of that up. Got my breadboard, bog board. Got my filthy scrapers that I said I would clean but I never got around to. But they'll still be alright. When you're cleaning them, just make sure there's nothing stuck on them that can come off and that your edge is clean. It's only body filler on there, it's not like I've got any contaminants. You don't want any oil, silicone, anything with silicone, so any kind of stuff with silicone, you don't want any of that stuff contaminating your work. So, you know, it's one thing to be dirty, it's another to be filthy. What I mean by that is, yes, it's a mess around here, but I don't have oil, I don't have silicone, I don't have anything that can contaminate the workspace. Like I said in the previous video, I don't care about touching the panels. I've never had it fail because I've touched the panel. What I would care about is if I had grit or dust all over it, if it was had any kind of a residue of anything, I would be cleaning that off and I would be making sure that that is spotless. But we're pretty good to go here now, so I just have to find a screwdriver or something to pop that open, and then use that. Anything in a pinch. You know, I sometimes get frustrated with the fact that there's not more space, or there's not. That's the colour of that inside. It's a pretty gross looking colour, but it's good because you can see where you are and what you're doing. Sometimes with the grey coloured stuff, it's hard to. You can lose where you are. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying about sometimes I get frustrated about the you know, the size of my shed, or the fact that it's so rough. But the whole premise of this channel, the whole premise of this build is that you can do it at home on a budget. The shed maybe cost me $200 in screws, and then I scab the rest. Get a big chunk, put it on your board. You're going to go across your board like that and then put it on. Look, when you're starting out there'll be wastage, but by the end of it you get pretty good at knowing how much you're going to need. I say that, but I'm still doubting myself. But you should doubt yourself. Don't get cocky. Don't ever get cocky. Every time I've got cocky, I've stuffed up. So, yeah, it's okay to doubt yourself. A bit of doubt, a bit of fear, healthy. This is your hardener. They come in different colours. This one's blue. And I'll show you what I do. I let the air out and I give it a good squeeze. Sometimes this is a blue one, I've got a red one. I'll mix it up so that I can see where I've been and to see if there's like a pattern forming, because sometimes what can happen is you'll get a hollow, and no matter what you do, you're following, you're sanding and you keep coming up with this hollow and you're refilling you. Well, you can't always tell, but if you put a different coloured hardener in, then you can see exactly what's going on, and then you can kind of work from there. And some people will be like, oh, what? No, that's not going to happen, but it does. Right, that's all the hardener I'm putting in that. It's not a hot day, it's not a cold day, it's probably about, I don't know, probably about 22, 23 degrees Celsius right now. I stir it in. Ah, I'm losing it. Ah, don't lose it. Alright, this is just a paint scraper, which is perfectly fine for applying filler, but I find the filler scrapers are better though, more pliable. Okay, now I've got it kind of stirred in a little bit. I get it. It's hard to do this so you guys can see. I grab my whatever scraper I've got like that, and then I go and I just fold it into itself like I'm kneading dough, and you keep doing that, and you bring it from the outside in, and you keep doing that until you can't see any blue specks in it, or whatever colour your hardener is obviously, and there's none of the base colour of the filler left, and you just keep folding it in, dragging it over, fold it in, drag it, fold it in. Right, then every now and then you do a clean of your board, a clean of your scraper, because you will have unmixed stuff on your scraper, you'll have unmixed stuff on your board, and then you just bring it all into the middle. You want to do this reasonably quickly because you don't want it going off on the board, because it can do. Again, all of these things will come with time and practice. Okay, and then So I'm happy with that. Now I'm just going to drizzle it on and that's it. No. Right, I push backwards on it, and then I start at the edge of the panel and I drag forward about the middle of where I want to fill. And then I do the same again, and I do the same again, and then I go back to the other side where I started, and I drag that off, and then I come back over. Alright, and I'm going beyond my repair. Scrape off the scraper, scrape the edge, go around, gather it all up into the middle. Okay, get it on my scraper, and do it again. See how I've angled my scraper? Alright, so you don't want it upright, you want it slightly on an angle backwards. I'm not going to get too fussy over in this corner here because I've still got work to do, and when I weld it'll take this stuff off. Now the reason I didn't put too much hardener in is because I need time to get it where I want it to be and how I want it to be. Scrape it off again. Now I'm going to shift over to this scraper, the body filler scraper. And I can tell I've still got a bit of time with this, I can feel it, but that's something that comes with practice. Because sometimes you'll be doing a fill and you'll be like, oh, all of a sudden it's all gone hard on the scraper. And the reason I went to the body filler scraper is because it's more flexible. Okay, and so that helps me to... Now I've got my general shape. Can you see all the lines in that? And I've got my general shape, but it's the right now. I just come back across very lightly, and then what I do is I'm picking up the excess and I'm moving it down the panel. Because remember, we don't want a lot of filler on there to start with initially, because we've just got to sand it off again. And you will find out that by the end of your project you absolutely hate sanding, because there's sand the paint off, sand the repairs, sand the primer, sand the primer, sand the primer, sand the primer. Then there's get it ready for paint, sand, sand, sand the paint, put on the base coats, put on the clears, sand that, and then polish it. So there's about 18 different flipping lots of sanding and polishing. It just, by the end of it, you'll hate it. And if I allow myself to think about it, I get pretty peed off about how much sanding's to come from me, so I don't think about it. I just look at what's right in front of me. Okay, I can feel that this is starting to become a little firmer, so I know that I don't have too many more passes on this. And remember, I'm trying to get it as close as I can to the actual shape I want it to be. Remember last time I said if you pick up some crap, it'll drag and it'll leave a big hole. I've picked up some crap somewhere along the line, so I just do that, go over it again, still crap there, dig it out, keep moving, keep moving. This is first pass, so I'm not that worried about it. And okay, that's a nice looking repair there. I'll go back a little bit with you. It's nice. I've edged it out, and I've brought it further along the panel than I need it to be, and I'll sand it back. But if you have a look, it's got a pretty smooth edge. You want that smooth edge, because if you've got a sharp edge, it actually seems to take a lot longer to sand things out. So remember this bit of filler here. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. Yeah, okay. Can I touch my phone? See, can you see the texture change? I don't know if you can see it on camera. There's a texture change that happened just then, and I thought, that's it, that's enough. There's no more playing with that, because if I play with it more, it's going to start dragging the filler. Let's get my finger out of the way. It's going to start dragging the filler across and ruin it. It starts to ball up on itself. So that's how that fill looks. Okay, I never thought, well, I did think, but it didn't seem like this was going to come this day. It just felt like it was forever away, putting filler on this. So I've probably got another 2 fills to make up. I was hoping to get across to halfway in 1 fill there, but that's not going to happen. And I've got fills to do on that side, so I'm going to get on with that. Now, the reason I said remember that bit of filler that was extra, later on we're going to get to a point where we've done all our fills on the big repairs and we're going to have extra left over. So that's where I tap that out and I put a circle around it with a texter, and any other little ones that aren't worth knocking out because they're just so shallow, and I just put circles around them. And then when I've got that little bit of extra filler, I go and I just wipe it into a repair that's not worth knocking out, or I've already knocked it out. And then where am I? Yeah, so that's what that's all about. Just be prepared so that you don't waste it. Alright, I have, ta-da, put the new pillar in. It didn't go as smoothly as the other side, not by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, this one was a real pig. But it's basically in there. It's not as pretty. I've got a fair bit to tidy up, but it's there. I've got some touch-up welds to do and whatnot. But look, I'm probably going to stop there on the roof. I've got the filler in. I might do some sanding on that, but I really need to wait now until I get a windscreen rubber before I go too far and figure out how that all fits up. So I'm probably going to move away from this now to, I want to get a start on the engine bay, I reckon, which might seem odd going from there to the engine bay, and I've still got scuttle panel and everything to do, but I just need a break from welding up and creating those kind of tricky panels. This is a lot more straightforward. I'm looking forward to stripping it, and yeah, it's just where I want to move on to next. And that's the beauty of this project. I've got enough to go on with. So going to the engine bay next, and when the new windscreen rubber gets here, I will probably finish this off, but I've got plenty to go on with. I won't run out of jobs. Probably go from the engine bay to the boot, and I was just looking at the other one about, I don't know, a couple of hours ago, and I'll be cutting all of that out, and yeah, we'll record all of that, I guess. Okay, that's just a bit of a look at where we're at. So we have come a long way, but that's going to do it for this one. I'm probably not going to do much more to the roof right now because I'm waiting on a windscreen rubber. But just so you can get a bit of perspective, slow reveal, boom, 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 ta-da! Okay, so we've gone from that very, very rusty heap of crap to this one, not rusty heap of crap. We've got rid of all of this. A lot of work to do here still. A lot of work to do here still, which is why I haven't filled it. So that's that side. Yeah, that's what the pillar looked like yesterday morning. That's what it looks like now. A little bit of work to do here, but nowhere near as bad as the other side, and obviously that's where we started with this thing, and now we're looking pretty good. So I'm happy with that. Next, I've got to do a little bit of welding up inside the pillars down the bottom to just join it all up to make it rigid. I'll show you on this side. So like that, where are we? Like that. I need to make all that so that this is structurally sound the whole way up, so that then I can start unstitching the scuttle. So I've started cleaning this up. I've started vacuuming the stuff out of there. I've taken the brake booster off. Okay guys, that's where I'm going to leave this one for this week. As you can see, quality control's been in to have a look, and she said it's all good. So be kind to one another. It's free to be kind, and be blessed. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, liking and sharing. Appreciate all that stuff. See you next one.